EAGLES, Eagles.
Welcome in, everybody, to a Victory Monday edition of Birds 365 here. The Philadelphia Eagles are moving on, everybody, survive in advance, and they will now host the Washington Commanders for the NFC title game, and they won a wild snow game in the divisional round, a 28-22 victory over the LA Rams, and the Birds are moving on. Johnny Mac, how you doing on this Monday morning, brother?
I'm doing well. Not quite as well as the Eagles, but doing well. Third championship game at Lincoln Financial Field in 8 years. It's pretty impressive.
Yes,
Not
it is.
Kansas City impressive, but pretty impressive.
Yep, no doubt about it. Definitely impressive. And Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts, John, they just keep winning as the leaders of this franchise. You got to tip your cap to them. John, let's get into the game, man. Last night, we'll have Jeff Kerr on later. I want to thank him. Welcome everybody who's going to be here this morning. Anybody watching after the fact, we appreciate you guys for being here. Johnny Mac, what'd you see yesterday, man? That was a crazy game. I was watching it and I was unfolding. I'm like, this is an iconic game, man. The way this thing is all going in the snow, and Saquon Barkley obviously goes for 205 on the ground and another 30 in the air. Another amazing performance from him. That's been the story all year long. What'd you see out there in a wild divisional round matchup, John, for the Eagles?
Saw a lot of Jalen Carter. I think he's the guy I'm going to talk about most today, but I want to give credit to my buddy Bob Brookover, because he said during the game, this is the type of game you want to have the lead when the snow really starts to pile up. And
Right.
I'm like, I didn't think much of it. I'm like, And it was 16-15. It wasn't much of a lead. But all of a sudden, here comes the snow, and it's going crazy. And the Eagles just allowed the safety. All the momentum looks like the Rams. They got first play of the fourth quarter, I think, was from the 42 or 43-yard line. Right? So they had great field position. And all of a sudden, Kyron Williams, which we talked about during the, great back, but has a propensity to fumble. And here comes Jalen Carter with a big club, fumble. Isaiah Rodgers scoops it up in difficult conditions, takes it all the way down to the 10-yard line. But and a little bit later, it was Matthew Stafford coughing it up in the pockets. And Brookie was right. Get the lead before the really, really bad stuff starts. And the Rams made two big mistakes. Now, it would have been nice if the Eagles could have converted them into touchdowns. Certainly should have. Weren't able to. Had to settle for field goals. Weird game from Jake Elliott. Made his field goals, missed that 2 extra points that kept the Rams alive late. And then the snow started to dissipate. And you think the game's over after the second big Saquon run. But the Rams, to their credit, kept fighting, had the football at the 13-yard line with a chance to win the game. And that's when Jalen Carter just took over. The sack, first of all, and then the hurry on the last play, which, but there were, Baldy put up a great clip everybody should watch. I retweeted it, just of Jalen Carter during the game and all the throws he affected. For the people that
he affected the last throw of the game. That Stafford.
That's what he had the sack, and then he forced that errant throw.
Yep. On
the last play of the game.
Yeah, you don't see Matthew Stafford airmail a ball like that often. That's Jalen Carter in his face.
Exactly, and there were a number of times the same thing happened where you said, "Oof!" If there was no pressure there, that's probably a big gain for the Rams. With Matthew Stafford on platform. So, that for the people that always pick up this is the game book and look at sacks for defensive. There's a lot of ways defensive linemen can affect a game. And Jalen Carter used every one of them in that game. And to me, he was the MVP of the game.
And John, shout out to you. You called that before the game. I made everybody do the exercise. Who will be the MVP of the game in an Eagles win? And John picked it, Birds and Jalen Carter. So Johnny Mac was right on point with that, John. This is courtesy of Jeff Kerr, and we're going to have Jeff Kerr on in a little bit. So looking forward to talking to him. Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith combined on Sunday versus the Rams. 13 pressures, 3 sacks, 3 tackles for losses, 2 forced fumble, 5 solo tackles, and 1 pass deflection. The Eagles' first rounders brought the heat, Johnny Mac. The Georgia boys, they have more than arrived. They are now helping us reach NFC title games. Safe to say those boys are panning out, Johnny Mac. When you help a team win a divisional round playoff game in the snow, all right, you've earned your stripes.
Yeah, I was thinking back, for long-time listeners of the show, I was thinking back to draft night because I told a story when the Eagles got Jalen Carter. I was, floored that the rest of the league let that happen, and I texted a former GM on him, and I said, "What do you think?" Just quick tip, a quick text about the pick, and he didn't get back to me right away because it's busy night for people like that.
Yeah,
And,
honestly. Yeah.
so I didn't think much of it. I figured he'd get back to me when he had some time. And after the 30th pick, that's when he got back to me with a quick text. Are you effing kidding me? Why are these teams allowing the Philadelphia Eagles to get these players? Nolan Smith was the 30th pick. And, a lot of people, were off Nolan Smith. A lot of people didn't think much of Jalen Carter after his first year, which was kind of silly, but, because he didn't maybe have the conditioning that he has now. But, you could certainly see the talent with Jalen Carter. It took a little bit longer with Nolan Smith, but I just immediately went back to that text. I still have it in my phone. What are these teams doing? What are they doing? They're just handing great players. In the case of Jalen Carter, I mean, he was the best player in that draft. Now, there's obvious reasons why he fell. And I always pick on the Bears, and I'm sorry, Bears fans, if there's any Bears fans left. I mean, they passed on him twice. Because you don't have the balls.
Didn't they trade with us? Move back with us?
They moved back. They had the number 1 overall pick, so I
Right.
get it. They didn't want to take certainly him that pick, and then I get it. And I guess they were almost hoping when they traded back the second time that somebody would take Carter beforehand, so it would be off their hands. But they got the ignominy of doing it twice. But all those teams, they just didn't have the courage to bring them in to their locker room, and they're worried about, well, what if he does this and what if he does that? If you meet Jalen Carter, you know pretty quick he's very humble guy. He's very understated guy. He's very young. He's very a little bit immature, but he's extremely polite. He's not. He made a terrible mistake. Nobody's trying to downplay that, but to think that this guy was robbing banks or something,
Come on. I mean, come on.
I mean, these teams are scared of their own shadow, and the Eagles are like, all right, we'll bring him in with their strong locker room, and it's paying dividends now, because he's only going to get better, and he dominated that game.
No doubt.
And you brought up the stats from Jeff. Stats don't tell the story.
No, they don't, and they're still good, though. That's how you know that they're down. I mean, there was more than just the stats in this game, but the stats are still pretty damn good.
It's unbelievable. I mean, again, Baldy put all these throws, the last throw of the game, obviously, but all these throws during the game that are there if Stafford just has a little bit more time. But as I said, the thing that affects quarterbacks the most is pressure up the middle. And you saw it basically throughout that game from Jalen Carter.
Yeah, especially against a quarterback like Matthew Stafford, who thrives on throwing the ball from the pocket, a clean pocket. So a big game yesterday for them. John, let's talk about Jalen Hurts a little bit. All right, I'm already seeing the conversation around the ether. Jeff McMullen put up an article today. Jalen Hurts is going to have to be better in order for them to beat the Commanders. I had zero issues with the quarterback's play yesterday. I'm watching a snow fall down around me. John, this is that thick, wet, heavy, slushy snow. It's not those light, fluffy, airy flakes at all. He did what he had to do, man. No turnovers in that game with snow coming down like that. I know he didn't do anything crazy over the top, but another performance where he manages the game, doesn't put the ball in harm's way, lets Saquon Barkley eat, and we are now 8 quarters away from a Super Bowl championship. John, your thoughts on Jalen Hurts in yesterday's game?
Yeah, I don't think he played well. Yeah, I mean, I just talked about the turnovers. That's certainly a big part of it. So to play a clean game is great. He was great in the running game, starting with the 44-yard touchdown early where he had a big burst.
Run there.
Unfortunately, he hurt his knee, and that's gonna be a big story this week. But people want to bring up stats when they're good. They don't want to bring up stats when they're bad. The Eagles' 65 net passing yards were the fewest by any team in a playoff game in the last decade. 10 years. 10 years. 10 years. Now, they're winning this unique way, so I get it. But I'm not going to sit here and lie to people and say he's playing well.
No, I don't want you to lie. I don't expect you to lie.
65 net passing yards. Now, you go to those 7 sacks, you're going to hear, well, what's wrong with the offensive line? What's wrong with the offensive line is the quarterback's holding on to the damn ball too long. Now, not every sack, but if you look at them individually, I think people should know by now how dominant that offensive line is, whether they're giving them 8 seconds to throw against Green Bay or whatever the hell it was. 6 point, I'm exaggerating, 6.7 or whatever it was. Yeah, not playing well. So, I mean, this is it. You got to ride this formula to the promised land, and maybe they can. They've been doing it, not turning it over. That's the whole philosophy. I said it all last week. They've become extremely risk averse, and they took one shot. And by the way, to defend Jalen, they took the one shot to AJ. AJ's not right. He didn't have a drop all year. He drops what could have been, likely puts him at the 1 or 2 or whatever. Maybe he gets in, but certainly he doesn't usually drop that. But you saw, the weather. Look, the elements were a big factor. I'm not saying that. We just talked about the Rams turnovers, but to the passing game, I mean, Stafford's over 300 yards. And that's what all the throws being effective. What the hell would have been if Jalen Carter wasn't out there? So to say you couldn't throw the football, well, you saw the other guy throwing the football.
Yeah, but you always talk about this. Come on, the context matters. Matthew Stafford also had to come back in the game.
Well, sure. But I'm saying the fact that you can't throw the ball because of the weather is objectively false, because the other guy could throw the ball. I'm not saying you want to be behind.
Right. You're just saying the weather factor is not as big of a factor as people are making it out. Okay.
Exactly. You're seeing one guy throw the football and one guy not throwing the football. Now, one guy's not throwing the football because, again, the Eagles have become risk averse. All that factors into it. He's trying to protect the ball. He's doing a great job protecting the ball. Nobody's trying to say that. Was a monster in the running game until he hurt his knee. So that's all good. But I don't know how you can sit here and say the least net passing yards in a decade in the NFL playoffs is, oh, yeah, that's great. I mean, you're lying to yourself.
Well, there was a couple big drops in that game by a sure-handed receiver in A.J. Brown that he had no drops all year. He's got 2 big drops.
I'm not giving the second drop because he'd be in a hospital if he didn't drop the first one. I mean, that's a freaking hospital ball.
That was
there was
like 3 or 4 defenders there.
All the people can say, oh, he's got to catch that ball. He's short on it. Yeah, he probably wants to live, and he probably doesn't want to go to the hospital. Yeah, did he short arm it? Is that a good throw? That's what I'm talking about. Yes, the other drop, that's on AJ. You know, live to play another down. Yeah, I'm not going to blame AJ for that drop.
Well, you know, the popular stat going around right now, John, is Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen had right about the same passing yards with no touchdowns and no turnovers, and their two teams won the game. Meanwhile, the guys throwing for the yards and making the plays lost the 2 game. And there you go. You got 4 quarterbacks advancing, John. They were the 4 teams in the divisional round who
but
did not turn the ball
right,
over, though.
All right. You know, because I know Lamar is going to get a lot of shit because Baltimore lost again. I mean, and the vast majority probably in this town, if they watched the game, they weren't watching it closely. You know, Mark Andrews, who's one of the all-time great Ravens, drops the football. You know, people are making excuses for the quarterback here because the great receiver dropped the football.
Right.
Drops the football in the 2-point middle throw, middle of his chest, would have tied the game. Maybe they go on and lose. Who knows? They weren't going to win.
Might not have been in that situation had Lamar not turned it over. But I'm with you. I mean, the play was right there to be made, and a guy that you trust in Mark Andrews didn't make the play.
So, you know, and people are going to say, well, the quarterback lost. Well, Josh Allen threw for 127 yards, so it's okay to throw for 125 yards. No, trust me, Buffalo's not happy. You know, are they happy? And Buffalo went off sort of kilter because they ran it so much, which was a surprise. You know, it's always a surprise with them, but you know, weather played into that game as well. And you know, Andrews fumbled too. One of the all-time great players in that franchise's history. You know, what are you going to do? Sometimes ball, but that's kind of the way when you know, things can happen in the playoffs. And the Eagles dominated that football game. And they were 13 yards away from losing. If Jalen Carter didn't put that pressure on Matthew Stafford.
My heart was racing like a madman on that last drive, Johnny Mac. I'm like, don't tell me Matthew Stafford's going to lead them down. Puka Nacua made that crazy catch over Darius Slay on the sideline.
Yeah.
I'm like, don't tell me this. Don't tell me this. Or the missed point after is going to come back and bite us in the ass, John. I thought for a second it was possible. But as you mentioned, Jalen Carter prevailed and made a play, man.
Yeah, and that wasn't his only play. Oof.
No,
I mean, that was an all-time great. But I'm not going to sit here and pretend the passing game. Oh yeah, it's great. No worries. You know, either you're open. Yeah. And by the way, Kellen Moore did just fine with his interviews. The Eagles won the game, but you know,
I don't know. Some of those fucking play calls, though, Johnny, man. I mean, John, your quarterback gets banged up with a bad looking tackle that hurts his knee. You're at your own 4-yard line, and you have a 5-step drop into the end zone. I'm sorry, I just don't understand that.
Well, I have no problem. I would have ran the ball.
How about the bootleg? What are you running a bootleg for with a banged up knee?
I mean, I would have ran the ball 90% of the time.
Me too. You and me both.
In that particular game. But I mean, the safety is on the goddamn quarterback. Like you're trusting.
I'm not calling that play there, though, John.
All right, fine. But why are you not calling that play? Because you don't trust the quarterback?
Well, I mean, does the hit that he took to the knee have any factor in it there? I've never seen Jalen look more immobile in my life, John. Jalen is a very mobile player. He's always had an ability to be elusive and escape from the pocket. He didn't even move, John.
My original point is none of this has anything to do with taking interviews before the game. Number one. Number two, I don't have any problem with people questioning, because I would have ran the ball there until the Rams are the worst run support team I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, they are.
Man. I mean, yeah, there's one guy in the history of football that has 200 yards against a team in the regular season, and then 200 yards against a team in the postseason. It's Saquon Barkley yesterday, getting to 205. 4 touchdowns of 60 yards or more, 3 of 70 yards or more. I mean, yeah, I'm going to run the football against that team. So I agree with that process of it. But again, why is the football not coming out?
Yeah, no, he does hold the ball. There's no doubt. I mean, I think he was a little uncomfortable out there in that snow, and I don't think he had much confidence, with this. John, it was that really. I'm telling you, this was not just light, fluffy snow, man. This stuff was wicked snow. I don't think he had the confidence in the arm out there yesterday.
Well, and maybe the right criticism of Kellen Moore is, because they're playing so risk averse, play risk averse. Don't put it in his hands.
Right.
Or for all these people that want to say, "Oh, Jalen's doing great. Jalen's doing this, but don't trust him to do anything as the quarterback of the football team." I mean, where does that fit in? All the bad people like McMullen and all the people that credit, and then you don't trust them, but goddamn, to let them drop back. And I'm not picking on you, Zander.
No, I know.
I'm talking to people.
You
You don't trust them to drop back in the end zone. I mean, which is it? Get the football out. Dallas Goedert was there, wide open. I think it was Dallas.
Yeah, it was right across the middle. I saw that.
Right in the field division. Throw the damn football. Even if you got to throw it at somebody's feet, if you don't believe what you're seeing, get rid of the football.
John, we got Jeff Kerr coming up. We're going to break all this down. We're going to dive into all of it with Jeff Kerr. I'm sure we'll have a great segment with him. Jeff, I've been using a couple of your stats this morning, brother. Good job by you, as always. We appreciate it. And we'll get to Jeff Kerr in a second here. Two other things I want to talk to you about, John, real quick. All right. First is the Commanders are coming to town for the NFC title game. All right. Just your early thoughts on that. And then the second topic I want you to get into, if you can, is Detroit gets bounced. John, all that buildup we did all year long, I said it. I'm happy we're playing Washington. Don't get me wrong. But I almost feel a little let down because we built up this matchup against Detroit all year long. What's it going to look like? Their offense versus our defense, all these different things. And now we don't even get to see it, Johnny Mac. Your thoughts on that and the Commanders coming down?
That happens all the time, unfortunately.
Yep.
There's always I felt even better when Washington pulled off the upsets. From the Eagles' perspective, because you generally have at least one upset, and then you had your upset, so you felt comfortable that the Rams weren't going to come in, and really the Eagles should have won that game by a lot more than they did. But they were able to get it done, and then Buffalo holds on against Baltimore, which I don't even know technically who was favored. I assume Buffalo was favored, but I'm not paying attention.
I think it was a pick 'em. I'm not sure on that game.
But the home team won. So Chiefs hold serve, you get the upset. Eagles hold serve, Bills hold serve. So 3 out of 4.
Yep.
Usually get 1, and it happened the day before. So had to be a good omen in more ways than one. But yeah, I mean, they turned it over a bunch and couldn't stop Washington, and the injuries finally caught them. And even in that game, the cornerback who was playing well, like their fourth quarterback, they got to throw in somebody who was on the Eagles practice squad last year, Kendall Vildor.
Good pull right there.
Yeah.
Who was that? Amik Robertson? Who
Amik Robertson,
broke his arm. I don't know what happened there, man.
Yeah, broke his arm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey,
real quick, John, just your thoughts
for Detroit, but
yeah, no, it is. Commanders coming into town next week, though, John. Just your early week out right now. Look at that game, man. That team is red hot. I think Jane Daniels is the hottest quarterback in football right now. I think he's playing better now than he has played all year, including better than the 5-touchdown performance he had last time we played them.
Well, the amazing thing to me, if you look at divisional round weekends, so you have Patrick Mahomes, C.J. Stroud. You have Jared Goff. You have Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, who are going to be 1-2 in the MVP race. Matthew Stafford, Jalen Hurts. And the most calm and collected of all, besides Mahomes, was Jaden Daniels. It's amazing.
Yeah, it is.
It's amazing. That said, the Eagles are going to trounce that team. I mean, they're just not ready from a talent perspective. Great story. Tremendous job. Jaden Daniels is going to be a problem for a long time. Dan Quinn did a great job. I love the way he plays. He's going to come in here and try to win the game. Not going to be Sean McVay. Not going to be taking field goals. He's going to try to win the game.
Yeah.
So that automatically puts more stress on you if you don't play well. Adam Peters has done a great job rebuilding that team. First year as the GM. All of it great, but they're just not ready. And I'm always going to take Vic Fangio against a young quarterback. He's going to come up with a couple wrinkles.
Yep.
That confuse Jaden Daniels. And look, the Commanders are the only team to beat the Eagles. And
you said the Eagles are going to trounce them, though, John. We've always had close freaking games. The Command. We went to overtime with Sam freaking Howell last year, man.
Well, I mean, yeah. Sometimes you play down to your competition. I don't think, in the NFC Championship game, the Eagles are going to be taking the Commanders for granted, like they probably were when Sam Howell was the quarterback.
That's true.
Even in the first game this year, I mean, they dominated that game. They had, that's probably, except for the opener against Tampa, that's probably the worst game Daniels has played. And then the second game, Jalen got hurt 6 minutes in, and even with that, if DeMonte Smith catches a football, they win. And it took them 59 minutes and 54 seconds to beat them.
Yep.
So
let's get to our commercial break. We're going to get to Jeff Kerr. I got a couple super chats to rattle off real quick. No Limit says Washington may have found their Pat Mahomes. He's looking pretty damn good. I'm not going to go that far. James Jones, I told you all my son was good. Our resident Commander fan is feeling good on this Monday morning.
I told everybody Jay Daniels was the guy on draft night.
Yes, you did, John. Dakota Warren, Snoquan, Barkley, LFG. I can taste the trophy. I love it. Dirty Air checks in. Hey, J-Mac, how about that Dawkins appearance during the game yesterday? Very WWE-like, John.
Yeah, well, that's what I said. They hyped him up. A lot of I don't know what the hell he said, but he hyped the people up. I still don't know what he said, but yeah, it was a nice little.
Yeah, good stuff.
I don't know.
Two more here from Alexander Harris. Alexander Harris, what's up, brother? Good to see you guys in here. Funny how the Eagles finished the regular season in second place and ended up with a bye week before the playoffs and home field advantage throughout. Yep, you're right. That's how it worked out. Also, Zander, you bring up the snow for a reason. Jalen Hurts didn't play well, but Matthew went for over 300 yards in those elements. Yeah, I mean, I think there's some different factors, obviously. The Rams had to throw in the game. The Eagles never had to really throw in the game. So I think that factors into it. But
it factors into the numbers, but if you're watching it, it doesn't factor in.
Yeah, you're saying that you should be able to still throw the ball if needed in that game. I get what you're saying. All right, let's get to our commercial break. All right. Actually, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a BetUS live read. All right, and then we'll go right to Jeff Kerr here. Jeff, looking forward to getting you up here, brother. So let's do that soon. Let me tell you guys about the great people at BetUS. All right, I showed you this promo code before. I've showed you it all year long. And I'll show you it again. They're here to sponsor the 2-hour show today. Shout out to BetUS. Go to betus.com.pa. Use the promo code YouTube150. Gives you a 150% sign-up bonus on your very first deposit. And you get 125% on your second and third deposit, all up to $2,000. So deposit more and deposit less and bet with more at BetUS. Go to betus.com.pa. That's betus.com.pa. They have the fastest payouts in the industry and 24/7 customer support. Let's go to our main man, Jeff Kerr, joining us now here on Birds 365 after a big divisional round win. Jeff, welcome into the Victory Monday Overreaction Monday edition of Birds 365. How you doing this morning, brother?
What do you guys want me to shit on first? Because 150 of Matthew Stafford's 300 yards were straight up garbage. They were down 2 touchdowns. They had to throw.
Well,
all right, Jeff's coming in swinging from a South Philly basement, baby.
But what happened when the game was on the line? That's what I want to know with Matthew Stafford. That's what I want to know. When it was 16-15, Kyron Williams fumbles. When it was 19-15, Matthew Stafford fumbles. That's
Well, I
what
brought that up. I don't think Kyron Williams is Matthew Stafford's fault.
No, he's
But,
not. But
yeah,
that's why the Rams lost the game. I thought the Rams were the better team on Sunday, but they turned the ball over and the Eagles did.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the turnovers were a big part of it. And Kyron Williams, I talked about all the week. I love the guy; he's a good back, but he fumbles.
Yep.
And sure
I
enough,
agree.
he fumbled in a big spot. And Stafford, was hurried. Look, Baldy point out, but I don't know. All I'm saying is, for the people acting like this is not a big deal, and the number, and you're a stats guy. You can pull stats in any different direction to prove your point. So my stat's going to be the Eagles' 65 net passing yards are the fewest by any team in the playoffs in a decade. In a decade.
They took a lot of
decade.
They lost a lot of yards on sacks.
Yeah. And why are they losing a yard?
Jalen holds on the ball too long.
Yes.
Clear as that. I mean,
yes. Now, as far as Stafford, you're right. But, Baldy put up a clip that I think everybody should watch. It's about it's about Jalen Carter. But all the forget about the sacks. All the pressures where Stafford is a tick off, where if Jalen Carter's not there, these are all completions.
In my opinion, if Jalen Carter doesn't sack Matthew Stafford, I actually think the Rams win the game.
Oh, yeah. Well, but even forget about the sacks. How about the last play of the game? That's way off. That's a Bob Uecker high and outside because Carter's right in the space again.
Yeah. And Carter used the same swim move twice. I don't know if you watch those plays again, John.
Yeah, Bo Limmer's not gonna forget Jalen Carter for a while.
Yeah, he's a difference maker. And honestly, so in the CBS Slack room yesterday, I was asked by one of my editors. He said, "Would you agree with me? The two best players on the field yesterday were Saquon Barkley, Jalen Carter, and then the next 10 were Rams." I said, I'd throw Nolan Smith in there, but it's a fair observation.
Dallas Goedert.
Dallas Goedert had a really good game. I don't know what Jalen was thinking when he took the safety. I think his knee was bad. That's why he took the safety. But Dallas was there.
Yeah, well, his knee was bad, and his knee is bad, and that's going to be a story all week. But
yeah, he can downplay as much as he wants.
Why? If your knee is bad, okay. Because I know a lot of people, and Zander went to Kellen Moore. Why are you calling that play? I agree. I would have ran the ball. Rams can't stop the run. Just run the ball. So I would have kept it simple. So I agree with that. But if you're calling and you're trusting your quarterback, so you have this whole group saying Jalen never turns it over. Jalen's so secure with the football. So which one is it? Can you trust the quarterback or can't you trust the quarterback? Number one. Number two, if you're a quarterback who's got a banged up knee and you're playing through it, number one, well done. These guys are tough as hell. Well, number two, wouldn't that speed you up and say, all right, I don't have my typical mobility. I'm dropping back in the end zone. I'm going to get this football out.
Yeah, that's what really concerns me about the knee injury. It's the fact that he does hold on to the ball too long, and you're taking the +1 out of that running game. I mean, if you take away the Saquon touchdown run, then I know I'm sounding like everybody else here, but you take that away, Saquon only has I gotta get the exact number, but it's 15
65.
yards.
23 carries.
65. No, I meant after the knee injury. Saquon had 106 rushing yards, so 106 minus 28 rushing yards.
Yeah.
So that was really it. But I thought that game changed dramatically after Jalen hurt his knee. Because I'm with you, John. I think they should beat that team by double digits, and they were beating them by double digits late.
Yeah, I thought it should.
That's where Kellen Moore was driving me crazy, Jeff. He bangs up his knee on a nasty looking tackle, and he's got him running a bootleg on second down. I'm like, what are you running a bootleg for?
Yo, right it was funny.
He was probably studying the New Orleans Saints roster on the sideline.
Yeah. Oh yeah, part of the next week's game plan. But Zander, Dad, to your point. So I took a video of Hurts coming off Big Dom yesterday in the tunnel. You
Yeah, he was
should
limping.
have heard the fans. That's not limping. That's walking with cleats on concrete. I said, what are you talking about?
What they want to will him to being healthy?
Yeah, I said, what are you guys, like fairies or something? You want
Yeah,
to
I
make
mean, he's
magic
definitely a little.
wand?
There's
Like,
no doubt he's banged up. I mean,
Yeah.
for sure.
I'm it's interesting because I covered Adrian Peterson's 2,000-yard year. I remember the Vikings had to beat the Packers in the final week of the season to make the playoffs.
that was only at 199 or whatever it was.
Yeah, and they did it, and it was it was a big moment for that franchise. Obviously, their biggest rival. And Christian Ponder probably had his best. He was the starting quarterback, which even speaks more to how good Adrian was that season. But he probably had his best game as a pro in that game. So, the next week they had to go to Green Bay in the playoffs, and everybody was excited, oh, maybe they're able to pull off the upset. And little bit known, Christian Ponder got hurt in the Week 17 game. Vikings all week are like, he's fine. He'll be ready to go. He'll be
Joe
ready
Webb
to go.
started, right?
He'll be ready. Yeah. Then on the day of the game, oh, Christian Ponder can't go here. Joe Webb's got to start. And obviously I lost by 2 touchdowns or something. It's a big deal, this injury. Now, Jalen's going to play because Jalen's Jalen. But he's not going to be near 100%.
Yeah, he's not going to be himself. You probably won't even see him close to near 100% till if they win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be careful with these Twitter doctors, but a lot of them are really good. And by Twitter doctors, I don't mean some fan who thinks he knows.
No, there's actual doctors.
Yeah, I think a lot of these actual doctors have experienced what
that's what I'm talking about.
It's become a whole industry to make content as a doctor around sports games.
Yeah, that's the people I'm talking about. And the best is David Chow, who used to be the team physician of the Chargers. And he does a great job. And he did it. A couple other guys did it. Seen whether it's a bursa sac, meniscus, PCL. He's dealing with something. And I've had bursa sac stuff. Man, that's painful. But you're not going to be 100%.
Well, I thought it was interesting. I was talking to a couple players yesterday about the knee injury when the cameras went away. A lot of them thought Kenny was coming in. And I was ready.
Oh, everybody thought Kenny was coming in.
I was ready to tweet Kenny was coming in, and like a couple players told me, and all of a sudden Jalen's like, "Oh, I'm here," and they're like, "All right, let's go."
Yeah.
A lot of people.
Obviously, you guys were in the stadium. It was tough to tell from the TV broadcast because
Kenny was warming up. Most of the guys.
Jalen was in the tent still. And then
Kenny was actually in the huddle about to go out, and then Jalen just kind of not shoot him off, but he said, "Hey, I'm good." And okay,
yeah.
It was like last minute too.
That's gonna be. I don't think he's gonna practice much all week. They'll probably list him as limited. He's not gonna do much, and we'll see if it's a PCL is sprain. That ain't good when it comes to mobility,
especially with a team that runs the ball like they do.
Yeah, and the +1 factor. So that's something that may, when I talk about the Eagles should win the game pretty easily against Washington, I do believe that, but that could affect things if because I do think, despite what the fans say, I do think Jalen's a very good player. I'm just not going to tell you and lie to you that when he doesn't play well, he is playing well. And he did not play well yesterday. And part of it is certainly post-knee injury, the knee injury. He was playing great in the running game as a +1. As Shep says, he's done a tremendous job taking care of the football, which is mission number 1 when it comes to the Eagles right now. So there's a lot of good stuff, but again,
I did think
65
it was.
net passing yards, not good enough. Sorry,
I did
not
think
good
it was
enough.
fun. I did think this was funny though, because I am such an advocate of you don't turn the football over, especially this time of year. You're going to win. Patrick Mahomes didn't throw for a lot of yards. Josh Allen threw for less yards than Jalen did.
Yep.
They didn't turn the ball over. Oh, Lamar outplayed Josh Allen. Yes, he did, but he also fumbled
Lost.
and threw a pick.
Reminds me of Super Bowl 57, John. What quarterback outplayed who, or at least who had more yards in that game?
But who had the fumble that was returned for a touchdown?
Oh, that's true. I never give Jay. I don't let Jalen off the hook for that. But the point was, Jalen threw for 300 plus in that game. Patrick Mahomes threw for 178 or whatever it was and won the game. There's more to it than just yards. But Jeff, where are you on the conversation? Because you're already seeing it. I saw Jeff McMullen put up an article this morning on the Inquirer. Jalen Hurts going to have to be better to beat Washington. I don't know, Jeff. I just keep watching this team win. We're now 16-3 this year, a second NFC title game in 3 years. I mean, the guy's a freaking winner. The team is a great roster, no doubt about it, but the guy keeps winning. Where are you on the whole conversation of Jalen has to be better, Jalen doesn't have to be better?
I'm going to reverse this because this is the difference. I think this is the different stance I have to take as, semi-Eagle, semi-national here. Are we really going to believe Jaden Daniels is going to have to throw for 300 and rush for 100 to beat the Eagles? Because that just doesn't happen every week. I mean, he needed to play an amazing game to beat Detroit, and he did against a bad Lions defense. You're coming here now. You're coming to Philly. You're not playing Alex Angelo, who, by the way, is a good player, but you're not playing a pass rush without
Carlton Davis and Amik Robertson and all those guys they lost in the secondary.
Yeah.
I mean, they lost a lot of people.
Yeah, no Aiden Hutchinson in that pass rush.
Right.
Like Aleem McNeil was neutered because they took away the interior. And look, Washington's got a good offensive line. But
No, Lim's hurt too. He's not.
Isn't Cosme hurt now too?
Cosme's out for the year. Torn ACL.
So
that's their best offensive line.
Yeah, he is. So now what do? It's Jane Daniels going to get blitzed. Nolan Smith and Jalen Carter are going to get there. Is Jane Daniels going to escape it? Is Jane Daniels going to continue playing like the way he's playing, not turn the football over?
The only difference is, Jeff, I'll say is, you wanted to beat Detroit. You needed to hang 45. All right. That's what you needed to do to beat that team. I don't think you need to do that to beat the Eagles if you're the Commanders. I mean,
I don't think you do either.
You got to be better than, 21 or 24. But
it's funny. They're the only
I think he's the hottest quarterback in football right now.
They're the only team that's really scored 30 against the Eagles over the past 2 months, and they beat them. But Eagles also got C.J. Gardner-Johnson. He was ejected from that game. Jaden Daniels needed pretty much every bit of that game to win it. The Eagles had that game in the bag.
Seconds left.
If Devonta Smith catches a football,
game's over.
Yeah, and the Commanders are probably the 7th seed, and the Eagles may have beaten them 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Yeah, the Eagles should win this game. Now, again, the quarterback, if he's not healthy, that complicates it. Even though I think they could beat him with Kenny Pickett.
They should have beat him with Kenny Pickett on Jalen Hurts' game plan.
Yeah, I really do. However, it would certainly be more difficult. But, as far as getting to the Super Bowl, things could not have broken better for the Philadelphia Eagles. They really couldn't have.
I agree.
I mean,
the issue is, do you think they could beat the Chiefs or the Bills? Because I'm not ready to say
I think they can beat the Bills. I don't know about the Chiefs, and I guarantee this about the Chiefs because of the way they play. The Chiefs aren't going to run away from them, so they'll be in the game. And anytime you're in the game, you can win the game. Look at how poorly the Rams, again, played yesterday. And they had the ball at the 13-yard line with a chance to win the game.
Yep.
If Bo Limmer could hold up for a play.
With a minute 14 left.
Yeah.
Jalen Carter sacked him. You look up at the clock, and all of a sudden there's 40 seconds left. Because they didn't have a timeout.
Yeah. That's how close it is, though. And the style of play. Now, Jake Elliott can make a couple extra points. It's out of reach. Although it's still actually an 8-point game. So, either way. But they should have won that game easily. Easily.
I'll tell you someone who really loved talking about that game and his perspective on the game. Darius Slay, John. I don't know if you were there when toward the end.
Yeah, Slay's great.
Oh yeah, but like we were talking about Stafford and like how he was thrown in the snow, and I was asking like Slay, could you see the ball? Because it was kind of tough to see. And he said, be honest, he said he was watching Stafford's arm. And that's when he kind of knew. He said, but on the Puka catch, he said, that's a Hall of Fame throw. The whatever. How far was that, John? The 41-yard on the last drive?
Yeah, well, that was a Hall of Fame throw and a Hall of Fame catch too. That was a hell of a catch.
Yeah, and that was off Slay. Slay couldn't believe he caught it.
Man, I was shitting a brick when Puka Nacua caught that.
When he caught that, I thought the Rams were going to win. I'm like, here we go.
On the missed point after by Jake Elliott.
Jake Elliott missed 2 extra points. By the way, we don't talk about that enough, how Jake Elliott is so clutch on field goals, but it's an extra point.
Yeah, weird. What a weird game for Jake Elliott.
Listen, I'll take it. The guy had still had, 10 points in the game, 3 huge field goals, plus that 37-yarder with the snow beating down. I know everybody's upset about the point afters, but listen, he got a couple clutch points in that game.
Especially where the winds were swirling on that kick. Man, that's you got to give the guy some credit.
I'm giving him credit. I'd rather hit those field goals than the point afters. Obviously, they're worse.
Guys, I'm going to bring this up to you too. We're talking about knee injuries. What knee injury is a bigger concern, Jalen's or AJ's?
Jalen's. I mean, Jalen's the quarterback.
Yeah, but AJ's knee injury is a lot worse than what.
He's not himself. But my take there is they're not using the receivers anyway. So
in Jalen's defense, ball was in the breadbasket.
Oh yeah, that drop.
Yeah.
AJ hasn't had a drop all season, so
yeah,
you don't expect him to drop. Now the first one, as I told Zander, I'm not blaming on AJ.
No, I'm not either.
I mean, he threw that thing in the triple coverage. If he catches that,
well, that's a heck of a catch. Also, this is what I thought was interesting: the Witherspoon penalty when he just drilled Devonta Smith. That ball was right on the money, and Smith had it, and that penalty caused him to drop it. I was kind of shocked they did not call pass interference on that.
Well, I know I'm going to piss people off. What is the defender supposed to do?
Well, exactly. I mean, he didn't jump. He didn't jump.
For people that listen to this show, I always tend, when they go back to the Jalen Hurts play against the Commanders and they lose their mind, and that should have been a penalty. I'm like, no, it shouldn't be. And when Patrick Mahomes gets deference calls and they say, that shouldn't be a penalty. Yeah, you're right. It shouldn't be a penalty, but he's a superstar and they're trying to protect him. He led with his shoulder. It was a textbook hit. The receiver drops his head, so you have incidental contact with the helmet. And it's a penalty on the defense. It's like, what are these guys supposed to do? I always default to the defenders because I think this league is ridiculous.
Well, this league became glorified arena football.
Yeah.
Like, you literally got national television analysts this morning saying the only reason the Eagles won that game because of snow. That game was playing in a dome. I'm like, but it wasn't in a dome. Like, I'm sorry, not everything needs to be in the dome.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of the opposite. I know obviously the snow helps the Eagles because they're a running team, but the Eagles were the team in this game that if everything went to plan, they were easily going to win the game. The Rams were the team that
Rams played better.
The Rams needed the element, though. They needed something to throw off the game, and the snow created that element, and I think it allowed the Rams to stay in that game.
I cannot even believe anybody projected the Rams would win this game going into it. After watching that first game, after what the whole Rams strat. See, what happens in the NFL is they played so well against Minnesota, and everybody thinks everything's in a vacuum. Oh, well, they had 9 sacks against Minnesota, so that's going to correlate to the Eagles, who have the best offensive line in the history of the world. And they did get 7 sacks, but that had had far more to do with the quarterback than the offense.
That's still pretty insane.
Honestly, though, give credit
16 sacks in 2 playoff games.
Give credit to Jared Verse, though. He talked.
Oh, great. I'd love Jared Verse, man.
Yeah,
love him. I said it last night. he embraced the pro wrestling heel persona.
Yeah, if you're
He
going to
was
make that
awesome.
comment, you got to embrace it. I liked
Yeah,
it too.
he was
And
awesome.
Jalen
He
Carter
played
even
well.
gave him a lot of respect for that.
Yeah, he played well. Yeah, I love the guy for, hey, talk your stuff. That's what Brandon does. BG, everybody loves BG. Go
Warren
talk your
Sapp did
shit,
that
back it up.
for a decade.
Yeah. John Randall, guy I covered for a long time. Nobody talked more shit than John Randall. He's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Oh, John, were you in the Saquon scrub when like Saquon was really laughing about going to the principal's office yesterday?
Oh yeah, I was talking. I was not in the scrum because I've given up on Saquon scrums.
You gotta learn to get behind me there and like
The
kind of-
scrums
Well,
are
no, I
crazy
don't.
work.
First of all, I don't want to be in the scrum. Number one, if I want to talk to him, I'll just go up to him afterward. He's very engaging. He's always willing to help, as long as it's one question, two questions. I'm not dealing with those morons, and I mean, the scrum people are just, I don't want to call them the worst people in the world, but they're in the top 10.
I think the scrum people were very upset when Saquon gave me the quote that when I asked him about Van Buren's record, and he said, "Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I looked it up," and and I said, "Do you know how many he had?" And he said, "Yeah, 196." And I said, "He did it against the Rams." And he's like, "No, I didn't know that." And then the next couple, and the cameras were like, well, "Why you say that?" I'm like, "Because you guys don't ask questions or good questions. You're asking Saquon, how's it feel playing the snow?"
When the NFLPA All Pro team came out, and he got this one TV guy saying to Zach Bond, "Oh, you didn't make All Pro," and poor Zach's going, I didn't make All Pro." He's like disappointed. And I had to correct him and say, "Don't worry about it. It's not the real All Pro team."
Yeah, it's not the real All Pro team.
And sure enough, he was first team All Pro. And I'm like, yeah, come on, dudes. Don't ask these questions if you don't know. But anyway.
Yeah,
Guys, looking ahead to this game. Wait, I want to ask you, Jeff, because John McMullen used a word I didn't expect to hear this morning. He said the Eagles are going to trounce the Commanders next week. And I'm like, holy shit, I did not expect to hear that. Jalen Hurts banged up. If he can't run in that game as well, how much does that change? You got Quinyon Mitchell banged up. Nakobe Dean is out. A.J. Brown's banged up. Like, you got some guys on this team that are banged up. Obviously, the biggest one being Jalen Hurts. Jeff, how do you look ahead just at that game right now? And if Jalen Hurts can't run, what kind of element does that provide or change? You look at a super chat here. Trucker Bean says, going into this NFC Championship game, is an injured Hurts better than a healthy Pickett or Tanner? Obviously, they're not going to play one of those guys, but if you take away Jalen's legs, man.
Jalen Hurts is a top 7 quarterback in football.
I know, but if you take away his legs, what
I don't care.
I'm not saying they're going to Pickett or Tanner. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just
Patrick
asking.
Mahomes plays with an
what
ankle.
Does losing the legs mean for the game?
It's big, but you can still win a football game.
By the way, no offense, don't bring Tanner into that conversation. Tanner's not playing, people. If Jalen
doesn't want to hear about Tanner McKee.
Backup quarterback is the most popular athlete in this city.
The third string quarterback.
But like in the history of the Eagles, Joe Pisarcik for Ron Jaworski and Randall Cunningham for Ron Jaworski, and then Bubby Brister, Jim McMahon, whoever for Randall, Ty Detmer for Rodney Peete, Coy Detmer for Ty Detmer, Coy Detmer for Donovan, AJ Feely for Donovan. I'm going on and on, people. Mike McMahon for Donovan.
Mike McMahon. That's a good
Donovan. Everybody's better than Donovan. The greatest freaking playoff quarterback this team's ever had. But
that might be Jalen now.
Yeah. Michael Vick for Kevin Cobb. I could go on and on. Nick Foles for whoever. Carson.
I'm with you.
Nate Sudfeld for Nick Foles. I forgot that. I'll never, ever let fans off the hook for that. You actually thought Nate fucking Sudfeld was going to win. Give me a break.
Yeah. All right. Jeff Carr.
I'll never, ever let him off the hook for that. I have the receipts.
Can we win the game next week if Jalen can't run the ball, Jeff?
Yes. Because
the Eagles can win the game with Kenny Pickett.
Because I think the Eagles have the best defense in football. No matter. And Zander, you pointed out 2 key injuries.
Yeah.
Everybody's got injuries. They don't have Sam Cosmi. Sam Cosmi's their best offensive lineman.
And their O-line ain't that good.
No.
That's huge.
Who, by the way, would be number 6 in Philadelphia. And I'm not even joking.
Yeah.
He's their best offensive lineman, and he's on an interior offensive line, which means get ready for the Jalen Carter show again.
Yeah, Jalen Carter's going to wreak some havoc next week. Oh, and I know we're concerned about this Eagles pass offense and their 65 net passing yards. I'm pretty confident they're going to have a lot more than 65 on Sunday.
Well, I am a little worried about Jalen's injury, but I think he's going to play through it, and he's not going to be 100%. I feel comfortable saying that. So it might limit them a little bit in the running game, typically from where they typically are. But you still have Saquon having an historic season, and he's hyper-focused. You mentioned Steve Van Buren. He's hyper-focused on Terrell Davis's all-time record.
And he knows he's 134 away.
Yeah. And he's got 1, certainly, potentially 2 games to do it. So it'd be hard to imagine if they make it to the Super Bowl that he doesn't break that record. Honestly, it might be hard to imagine him not breaking that record against the Washington Commanders, because 134, is it, Jeff? That's like a walk in the park for him.
Yeah, the way he's been playing. Like, if you had told me Saquon was going to have 200 yards on Sunday, I wouldn't have been shocked just based on the first matchup. But history showed when you had a 200-yard rusher in the regular season, you played that same team in the playoffs. No one's ever gotten 200 yards.
Yeah, I brought up Adrian had a big day.
Or 100 yards. Sorry, not even 200.
I brought up that the Adrian Peterson season.
He only had 99 that game.
I think he had 200 against the Packers twice in the regular season, and they finally slowed him down a little bit in the playoff game. But that had more to do with Joe Webb. And yeah, look, I mean, the plus one, and you saw it yesterday. I mean, Jalen's touchdown run kind of set the tone early. It is a big deal, the plus one. That does help. Even as good as Saquon is, that does help. That does help him. So to not have that will make it a little bit more difficult for him. But, man, that offensive line. I see people shitting on him because of the sacks today. I'm like, I don't know what people watch. I mean, that offensive line is just – look at the 2 Saquon touchdown runs. Look at them.
Yeah.
There
was only one play.
Pass protection? I mean.
Well, sure. But, if the quarterback's holding on the
I'm going to
ball.
go by what Mandy Dickerson was telling me yesterday. It was pretty much – it was hard to get your foot planted. It was hard to – he said it kind of felt like they were on skates at times yesterday.
Yeah, you could tell the way the receivers were running.
A different environment. He never played in the snow. He said it was intriguing.
Yeah, I mean, you could tell the receivers couldn't run crisp routes at all. I think that threw off Matthew Stafford in a big way. So there's no doubt that was. Let me ask you guys this about Quinyon Mitchell. You guys were in the locker room after the game. What can you tell me? I know we don't have any official injury updates yet, and we probably won't get that early in the week.
Yeah, you're not getting that till Wednesday.
Yeah, you're not getting that early in the week.
You may not even get that on Wednesday.
What's your guys' early feeling, though? You feel like he's going to play? Does it feel like he could be out next week? Like, it's tough to get a gauge on where he is. Obviously, he went out in the first quarter and never came back in the game, so people assume it's a bad injury. You think he'll be back next week?
John, you were there.
He took a shower. He's out. He said he's fine. He says he should be fine.
He tried to get back in yesterday, from what I was told.
Yeah. So, look, it's weird that they held him out. I get it. But, I mean, typically if he's injured, he's not going to be taking a shower and dressing in front of all the media. So that was a very good sign. But it is strange that they held him out if, being precautious, other than having confidence in Isaiah Rodgers, who had, he got beat, but I think he held up pretty well.
He was in position on that one. I thought he was going to pick it off.
Yeah, he should have. Actually, he should have picked that
fumble
one.
recovery.
Demarcus Robinson took it away from him. He actually had it.
Marcus Robinson had a really good game.
I don't know if any other player either that recovered that fumble would have taken it as far as Isaiah did. He took that thing. He picked that thing up off the ground and put on the jets, man. I'm like, wow, that's impressive. Most people in the snow would fall on that thing.
Yeah, he had a nice spin move to get loose too.
Yeah.
He picked it right up and spun and got an extra basically 40 yards with the spin move. And the Eagles unfortunately couldn't convert because Lane Johnson jumped off sides on the tush push. Which was disappointing. But that, he did blinch. So I mean, for all the officials are against the Eagles, he did blinch. So it was the right call. They made it tougher than it needed to be, but yeah.
Quote of the day yesterday was Josh Sweat. Quote of the day. Well, he had a couple quotes of the day. So Josh Sweat, there's a couple of us were talking to him and we're asking about the field. He goes,
I said he'd rather play in Brazil.
I'd rather play on that shitty Brazil field than do this again.
Yeah, shitty Brazil field.
Oh, he was going off, and then we're just asking follow-up questions, and then all of a sudden I decided to pivot and ask him about Jalen Carter, and he just goes, "He's a bad, you know what."
I know, Jalen Carter, man, dude, because everybody's having issues, and Jalen's just like, oh, all right, I'm just gonna.
Yeah, he said everybody's like slipping and sliding, and he said Jalen Carter, he just does a spin move, and he's sacking.
Yeah, he said something about it cleaning his damn feet every play. Josh Sweat.
Oh yeah, he said, "You guys see me clean." I'm just like shaking my head, like, "Here we go." This is
no, a lot of shits from Josh. No one wants to play in that shit. So
yeah, it was entertaining, and
well, that's what people do because you have these narratives, and I say it too. And look, the Eagles are much more equipped to play in the weather than the LA Rams. But I mean, Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, Josh Sweat, all these guys, they're all, Josh is from Virginia, played at Florida State, Georgia guys. They don't want to play in this shit. Devontae Smith hates it.
Saquon hates the cold too. He won't tell you.
Well, everybody hates it. But, some people are better prepared for it. The Rams deserve credit for that because they did hold up better than I thought in the weather. But the bottom line is,
if they don't fumble the ball, it's a different game.
But the bottom line is, at the biggest moment, they did fumble the ball twice.
Yep,
and it did affect them. But even though I thought they handled it better. Where are you on the Sean McVay is overrated scale? Because I got shit on for that.
Sean McVay's overrated?
Yes.
I said he is.
Yeah. I'm the only one. I'm on an island. He doesn't play to win. It's like, why are you running? First of all, it's and Shanahan, who I love, so people can't say him, or it can be Kevin O'Connell, it could be Matt LaFleur. When the play action stuff, because I've asked them this question, I've asked those kinds of coaches this question over the years, because it makes no sense to me. When you're down 10 points, 2 scores, and everybody knows you're throwing the football, why do you keep the play action mechanics? Because a couple times Stafford's dropping back.
That too,
Stafford's dropping back in these play action mechanics. He turns around and here's Jalen Carter right in the space. It's like, what are you doing, dude? You're putting the quarterback in an untenable situation. Now they've told me, well, it's timing of the play. Then dump the fucking play and go to something else.
You know what bothers me, I think, about McVay? It's he'll blame the defensive. He'll blame somebody else besides himself on that.
Taking that field goal was egregious.
Oh, I don't know why he did that.
How do you watch Dan Quinn the night before? Maybe you didn't watch him. You're on the road against a better, more talented team and tough environments.
Well, Dan Quinn's got you-know-whats.
Yeah. You got to take chances to win that game. You have to.
I thought maybe the snow had an element there, John, because, points are a premium in a game like that. I thought maybe and live to see another down.
What? I thought that worked for the Eagles because they had the lead. I thought the Rams would have been more aggressive.
I'm the old guy. I'm not supposed to be the open-minded one. If I hear points are the premium, John? Yeah, they are. That's why you want 7 and not 3, because you're not going to win with fucking 3. That's it drives me insane, these coaches. So yeah, that's why I think
I got upset yesterday when I was watching Ravens Bills. That's what took me so long to get out of there yesterday. I was watching Ravens Bills because I had to do my column for Sunday. And you're hearing people in the fourth quarter go, "This is what happens when John Harbaugh's chasing points." What are you talking about? They were down by a lot.
Well, I got that from my buddy Ed Kratz early in the game with Jake Elliott. He missed an extra point. The Eagles are going to be chasing points. I'm like, no, they're not. Maybe in the fourth quarter, they're just going to kick the next extra point. Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it. Points are at a premium, chasing points. That's John, tell me you don't know what the modern NFL is.
John, by the way, you said the best thing today, which I think you probably should tweet. This is why the Eagles are going to beat the Commanders, because Vic Fangio is Vic Fangio, and it's a rookie quarterback. He'll have something.
Yeah.
It may not work all the time, but he'll have something.
Yeah, I trust Vic. I don't trust many people, but I trust Vic.
John, the only thing I'd push back on what you said about the modern NFL is we're consistently watching this team defy everything about the modern NFL on the
well, so is Kansas City, but
I know, but I'm just saying. I mean, Pat, everything's set up for the pass game. Here we are with a 3,000 yard.
Because again, people don't understand the mindset behind it, and I constantly try to explain it, but people shut up because they want to be right, and that's you can win a million different ways. How many times have I said this, Zander? What you're trying to do and what the Eagles were trying to do in the offseason, trying to evolve the offense, is increase your margin of error. Right now, again, they're 13 yards away from losing. Now, people can spike the football because they won, and they can say Jalen Carter and Saquon Barkley because they won, and I get it, and that's what people do. But you're this close to losing a game you should have won by 3 touchdowns. This close.
I give the Eagles a ton of credit for just not beating themselves. And that's why the Ravens are not playing the Chiefs on Sunday. Because the Ravens, I'm still convinced.
But that's an exact point. But that's kind of Mark Andrews and the opposite. Like, you're sitting there. All right, who are you going to trust in Baltimore more than Mark Andrews? More than Mark freaking Andrews? He fumbles and he drops at the easiest 2-point conversion.
Yeah, I got really upset when people were just roasting this guy to no end. I'm like, didn't this guy just save someone's life this year or last year?
Well, anybody criticizes Mark Andrews doesn't know much about football. But the point is, these are human beings. You know, you might have, Saquon's having one of the great NFL seasons of all time.
He dropped a pass this year to lose a game.
He dropped a pass to lose a game.
Devontae Smith did it.
Devontae Smith. I've never seen Devontae Smith.
No, I never seen him drop a pass.
I did now, right up until I did.
A.J. Brown didn't have a drop all season until Sunday.
Yeah. I don't get why people don't understand what the thought process is behind.
Because there are no drops in Madden.
I hope that's not.
I'm telling you, the 3 things that have spiked the NFL's ratings, and I hate it to no end. You guys ready? Madden, because everybody judges someone off a Madden rating. Fantasy football, which I play.
I hate Madden ratings.
The players love them. That's the problem. Yeah. The players love them.
Fantasy football, because everybody looks at certain stats like yards, and the all-inclusive gambling.
Well, yeah, the gambling. Because I'm not a gambler, but gambler, you should gamble and gamble at BetUS.
Yeah, I'm not a gambler either.
Personally,
I'm not going to say you're a bad person.
Yeah, well, I don't want to. First of all, when you cover games, I don't want to be rooting for somebody to lose because I got $50 on the game.
You got to remain objective as a reporter. Yeah.
So, but anyway, from the standpoint of and I'm glad. Well, the Eagles won, so I can't even go on X or any other platform now to watch any game because all anybody does is complain about the officiating. It's like, what are you people even watching these games?
Hey,
What did you
fun
guys think
stat.
of the Mahomes thing? Because that's being talked about everywhere.
I-
Fun stat. You guys know the Chiefs there have been more penalty yards called against the Chiefs than anybody else in the regular season over the last 7 years?
Clearly,
the
you're
officials
wrong,
help.
Jeff.
But
Clearly,
the
you're
officials
wrong.
help. Oh, I know. You know what's funny? Everybody loves my stats when they favor you.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Well,
why
it's the same thing with PFF rankings. They always last. Oh, PFF is so stupid. Hey, Jordan Mailata is the #1 rated offensive player in the NFL. Oh, that's freaking great, man.
Yeah.
Same thing.
My favorite was Jeff. Thanks for pointing out these stats. They're really proving my point.
So you guys do not buy that the officials are in Patrick Mahomes'
No,
pocket?
I do not.
All right,
I do not.
I didn't even think it was that big of a deal in the game. I watched the
First
guy
of all,
I watched
that's
him
not
move
why the
down,
Chiefs
make a
won.
throw, going to the ground, a touchdown throw in a playoff game. I'm like, yeah, that guy's pretty good.
First of all, they protect superstars. As I brought, there's literally a Jordan rules phrase for a reason.
Right.
Superstars get deference, no question about it. In every
Jordan
sport.
had a push off on Byron Russell.
Oh my God, it's one of the worst push offs of all time. Yeah, one of the worst push offs of all. So obvious. You're completely right, LeBron. I always bring up Greg Maddux in baseball. He got 6 inches outside, nobody else got because he had this pinpoint control. Superstars get deference, but you got to get to that level. How do you get to that level? You get to that level by dominating.
I still remember the time. This is like 2007. This is when LeBron was starting to get the Jordan rules. LeBron drove the lane against the Sixers, and Samuel Dallenberg, of all people, blocked him to win the game. Sixers
Samuel was a great shot blocker.
Yeah. But it's Samuel Dallenberg. Heaven forbid LeBron James can't lose a game getting blocked by Sam. Sixers were in the locker room. They called him back out, and LeBron got to hit 2 3 throws and won because he.
I mean, something I don't recall that game, but something that you shouldn't do that. But the part where and they didn't even call the penalty where Patrick Mahomes stopped instead of going out of bounds, and he was trying to bait the defender.
I would have decked him.
By the way, I think that's brilliant.
Oh, it is.
Yeah,
Kenny Pickett has the greatest fake of all time. They banned it in college football.
Yeah. And take advantage of it. If some moron's gonna take a shot at you, get 15 free yards. I think that's brilliant.
Yeah. Also, the Texans, what loser energy from D'Amico Ryans. Oh, when I say we had to play everybody to beat the Chiefs. I'm like, yeah, and that's why you lost. Yeah.
And I just said it about it, but here's the thing. Like Witherspoon's hit, which was textbook in my mind. Everybody's like, that is the most vicious hit. He dipped his shoulders exactly the way they.
Yeah, it wasn't helmet to helmet.
It's exactly the way they teach you to do it. But it's not Devontae's fault either. He dropped his helmet. It's just they're human beings. It's just
a bang play.
Yeah. But I say the same thing about everybody. Jalen Hurts in Washington, Patrick Mahomes. Do I think that's a penalty? No. The Patrick Mahomes plays. That's what the NFL calls. They hate the legislation. I say it all the time.
Do you think Frankie Louvu's hit on Goff Saturday night was dirty?
No.
I didn't because it was off a pick. I'm like, Goff, get out of the way.
No, it's a penalty.
I think Frankie Louvu is a game changer. People hate him, and I get it. And I'm
not
here to argue whether he's dirty or not. That's not my point.
Oh, you're talking about
his plays on the football field have impact on games every time he plays. He's a hard hitter, man, and he impacts games.
Real quick, though, you're talking about the block after the interception. That should have been a penalty, but it's not. I don't think it's a bad hit. But the NFL made that a rule that a quarterback is now a defensive player after he throws an interception. So it should have been a penalty. But just because Frankie probably doesn't know the rule, it typically in years ago, well, if you're going to try to tackle somebody, it's your free game. We're going to kill you. You can't do that anymore. So they should have called a penalty.
He blew golf up.
Yeah,
it was funny. I kind of laughed.
In the old days, that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, right.
But you're not allowed to do that anymore. So I have to correct
they go above and beyond to protect the quarterback.
Yeah.
They really do.
But they should not when they're runners. They're supposed to be runners.
John, I could see you on Sunday shaking your head every time the crowd got upset when Hurts is getting hit out bounds like he's a runner.
Oh, it drives me crazy. You know what? The other one, remember where Devontae hurt his wrist a little bit? Jalen was outside the pocket and he got pushed down by the defender, like right in the wide open. Which game was that? He got pushed down and he hurt his wrist a little bit. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
Everybody's losing their mind because they saw a receiver get hit in the open field. It was
that was a Pittsburgh game, right?
Yes. He was inside 5 yards. Hurts was outside the pocket. Completely legal play. It's what they teach you to do. Again, the sport is so over-legislated, nobody knows the freaking rules, so they lose their minds.
Well, the content creators, they know everything. They know every rule in football. So they get 30.
I people that know, I never complain about officials. Never. Are bad calls going to go against your team? Yeah, they're human beings.
Oh, John, you just saw Saquon's fingers on Sunday. He got his fingers caught in a helmet.
Dude, he takes some hard hits, Saquon Barkley.
He got hurt again yesterday.
He takes some freaking
hits. That's what he was showing. Like couples, there were bruises, but they were deep cuts.
How about the one play in that game? Now, I did not understand what the hell the Rams were doing on defense. It was 3rd and 14 and their own 4. Saquon won it off the field. He tried to come off, and they put him back on. Then they throw a screen pass to him, and he picks up 18 yards. I'm like, why are the Rams sending 6 there or 5 there and blitzing on that play, leaving the whole field?
Jalen was going to get rid of it.
I mean, I don't understand that, though. I mean, you could have easily sat back and prevented that first down. You would have flipped the field, got the ball back. I thought that was just a terrible play by the Rams.
Yeah, they got caught. Sometimes you get caught. But that was the best, by the way, Saquon has looked as a receiver in, I don't know, 10 weeks or so.
Yeah, he doesn't get that many opportunities.
No, so they got him involved a little bit. But yeah, anytime you run for 2,000 yards, you're going to be banged up.
John,
and he's banged up.
Is this the greatest season for running back?
It's starting to get there. Now, if you take the Rams out of it, maybe not. But
but they're part of the conversation.
The Rams were. I've never seen anything like it. So the 460 yards rushing.
500 total yards.
500. I think the number is, it was 302 in the first game, and yesterday was 232. So 534.
There was a stat I dug up. The most total yards against an opponent in a season, and this is counting the playoffs. It's like Saquon, it's like Derrick Henry. I think one's OJ. And I think the stat, Jamal Lewis was in it. And I'm like, I just realized something. Henry and Lewis, 3 games. Saquon did it too. Because the Eagles don't play the Rams. They were divisional games, and they play them in the playoffs.
If you have, 460 yards and 534, what do we say, yards from scrimmage, that's a decent little season for a change of pace back in 2 games.
So Saquon, here's the stat of the day. Saquon has the most 60-plus yard rushing touchdowns for a running back in NFL history, with 6. 4 are against the Rams. The all-time record is 4 in a season, and he did it against one team.
I'll tell you what, I don't like to criticize players because I don't think it's I criticize players all the time.
Yeah,
I don't
was
like
gonna
that.
say, what are you talking about?
I don't like to shit on players because I know they're trying hard. I know I don't like to completely shit on players. But my God, how is that Roseboom? How is he a starting linebacker?
I don't know. Christian Roseboom's not that good.
My God, I mean, Saquon's great, but I mean, after the first game, you don't have a better plan. You don't have a somewhat plan. Like I would have went into that game and said, "All right, Jalen Hurts has got to beat me. Got to." After what went on the first time.
And Jalen had a good game that first game too. It just went unnoticed because of what Saquon did.
I mean, I would have put 8 people in the box to stop him from getting 200 yards. Anything.
A fun stat. Saquon had 170 yards rushing when they put 8 in the box the first time.
Yeah, well, the problem with that, and that's what the Rams would say is, well, then if he breaks one, he's gone. Like if he doesn't break one, he's not gone.
Yeah,
Like who's gonna chase him down? Roseboom. I mean, yeah,
I really wanted to just kind of get him to laugh about something, and I didn't when he was saying about Van Buren's record, and we're asking him a couple questions, and I wanted to do a follow up with, are you sure it was because you wanted that record because you knew you had 255 against the Rams at first? I knew I wouldn't have gotten an answer, but I wanted to get a smile out of him or something.
I mean, I think Troy Reader was playing. I don't know why Christian Roseboom is playing, but
isn't Troy Reader hurt?
Yeah, he is hurt. But boy, I mean,
that was not a good defense they played on Sunday.
Well, the front is very good.
Well, the front's very good, but I mean, in totality.
Yeah, I thought they were fine except for the linebackers. I knew going in, Zander can tell you. I mean, it's just not a good matchup for them because they're so undersized up front. But, I knew the offensive line was going to beat the you-know-what out of them. But
you are right about the path to the Super Bowl. It feels like the toughest team that they're going to play was the team they played in the wild card.
Yeah, I agree.
I think you guys are a little bit underselling this Commanders team. They got.
I'm not underselling.
They have a coach who's willing to go for it on fourth downs.
Yeah, the Commanders have absolutely nothing. That's the difference.
Yeah, let me get it out. They have absolutely nothing to lose. They have exceeded expectations by every metric. They have nothing to lose in this game. The Philadelphia Eagles have everything to lose.
The Commanders have everything to lose too, because you're in the conference championship game now.
Well, I'm just saying, if you just lined up the talent from 1 to 53, the Packers are probably more talented than the Commanders and the Rams. Doesn't mean they're playing like it. I agree what you just said. If you asked 100 NFL fans, who's the better coach, Sean McVay, Matt LaFleur, or Dan Quinn, every single one of them would say Dan Quinn's the worst of that lot.
And Dan Quinn's a really good coach. I'm not underselling.
And I agree with your premise, Zander. He gives them a much better opportunity to win than Sean McVay or Matt LaFleur.
But to me, it's Jaden Daniels. Look, people don't want to hear this, but you got to put him on the Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen scale right now.
No, that
is how well he's playing.
Yeah, I think he's playing better now than he even played.
If the Commanders go to the Super Bowl, Jaden Daniels will be the reason.
I love Jaden Daniels. I love him, but Vic is going to figure it out, man. He is going to. I'm not saying he's not going to make plays because he's going to make plays, but Vic is going to figure it out. And he's going to throw some shit at him that he hasn't seen.
Daniels, though, regardless of what happens Sunday, he is going to be a pain in the pan of the ass in this.
Oh, yeah, man.
I agree. I'm not taking this team lightly. I don't think it's a trounced game. Every time we play Washington, it seems to be close. I brought up last year, Jeff. I mean, I know it's a little different, obviously. Last year, you go to overtime with Sam freaking Howell.
Twice.
I feel like every time we play this team, it's close. And now you got a team that has absolutely nothing to lose.
We just lost their best offensive line.
Now that's a big factor. Jalen Carter could destroy this game.
But the Eagles quarterback also is on a bum knee, so
that's true too.
Out.
There you go. It's another big.
Look, I think it's going to be a close game. I don't think Eagles are going to trounce them. I could be dead wrong on that, but maybe because I think so highly of Jaden Daniels.
I think very highly of
the
him.
last 2 times the NFC Championship game was here, I think it was 38-7.
The Eagles blew them out.
And what was the score?
31-7.
31-7.
Oh, by the way, 49ers fans are still crying about that. Well, then don't have your backup tight end block a sign writing.
Well, that's, by the way, that's Kyle Shanahan, play action.
Yeah. I was going to say that. I set you up on that.
Yeah. And people say, how do you do that? They do it all the time. The design of the play is not for the tight end to hold up. The point of the play is for the tight end to get a chip to slow him down a tick, so you get the look you want in play action. And when it works, it's a thing of beauty.
John, I think I said this too last week, and I wanted to kind of reiterate this point about the home field advantage thing, because I said, remember I said I don't think the Eagles could go in the Lions and beat them in Detroit, but then I kind of corrected myself. I said, well, in fairness, the Lions lost both their games this year in Detroit. They lost on Saturday in Detroit.
Yeah, well, I mean, hey, if you're the best team in football all year and you lose, it's going to be a disappointment. And obviously, the best team doesn't always win. The New York Giants won twice, and they were not the best team with Eli.
No, they beat a 15-1 Packers team that should have blew them out.
Yeah, and then they beat the best Patriots team of all, which did not win.
I hope Eagles fans really enjoy this run and enjoy.
Oh, they will not if they lose.
But this is why I say this.
Oh, I agree with you.
Because
100%.
you are 1 win away from going to your second Super Bowl in 3 years. The Chiefs are 1 win away from going for 3 in a row. Eagles, Chiefs could be this generation. Steelers, Cowboys, Patriots, Colts, Chiefs, Bills. How you slice it? Playing the same team 2 Super Bowls in 3. That's legendary.
Who's got more talent, Eagles or the Chiefs?
Eagles.
I agree with that.
Eagles. Chiefs have Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. That's what I think the difference.
Right. They have the great equalizers. All right. So give them credit for that. I do think they're talented on defense. That George Karlaftis, he was all over the
field. George Karlaftis is incredible. Oh, Trent McDuffie.
Dude, did you see him in that game, that divisional? Jeff, you couldn't throw on him.
He's like that all year, too. He's insane.
McDuffie's great. By the way, the best Chiefs defender by far is Chris Jones.
Oh, my God. Dude, 310 coming off the edge in that game for a sack. I'm like,
I'll tell you what, if Jalen Carter becomes what Chris Jones was in his prime, oh man, Eagles.
I think Chris Jones is still the best defensive tackle in the NFL, and
he is. But I mean, prime Chris Jones was like 2018, 2019. That was so much fun to watch.
Wait, so all right, let me ask you guys this. I mean, you both feel good about the Commanders game. I feel pretty good about it. Would you, in a hypothetical Super Bowl, I had people last night tell me they'd rather get the rematch than the Bills. And I'm like, are you crazy?
I'd
rather play the guy who doesn't have any hardware than the guy who's going for a three-peat.
Yeah. And plus, you know how much pressure is going to be on the Bills to win the Super Bowl? The Bill. Keep in mind, this is the Bills here.
I'd rather play the team with the coach that can't navigate 13 seconds properly.
Yes. I'd rather play the Bills. I mean, it'd be a fun. It's going to be a fun Super Bowl, regardless if it's Eagles, Chiefs, Eagles, Bills. I'd rather take the Bills.
Yeah, give me the Bills all day long and twice.
And you know what? If Josh Allen wins it, good for him. He'll deserve it because
he's willing that roster, man. He's willing that roster to victory. He's a tremendous player.
You know what I love about what the Bills did? They just shifted their entire philosophy and said, okay, we put up the numbers. We do this. This wasn't working. Let's make Josh more conservative because he's a good quarterback, and we'll make other teams beat themselves. And it's worked.
It has worked.
And
No doubt
Josh
about it.
is an incredible football player.
Well, and they finally got a running game with Cooks. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And not even Cook. It's like Ray Davis too. And Ty.
Well,
Jones.
yeah,
They got a couple different guys back there.
Yeah, they got Dalton Kincaid at tight end.
But, I mean,
Offensive
for years
line's better.
they couldn't run the ball at all. It's like Devin Singletary. Yeah, they couldn't run the ball.
Oh, here, Devin
Except for
Singletary.
Josh Allen.
He's a great fantasy football player.
Except for Josh Allen. Yeah, I mean, and look, it's not the Eagles' fault, man. But this is falling into place nicely.
You know what? It's not Notre Dame's fault during the national championship.
That's
either.
right. That's right. And I'm rooting for him. Marcus Freeman, don't let me down.
He's got an uphill battle. He's not the more talented team in that game.
No. And he lost his left tackle, by the way, speaking of.
And he was banged up, too. There's a lot of guys that are banged up on that Notre Dame team. It could be ugly. It could be.
Yeah. I don't know. That Notre Dame team fights, man. They got a lot of fight in them. I like that. We'll see how that game goes. Jeff,
they got 2 first-round picks who are out, by the way. Benjamin Morrison is going to be a first-round pick. And I think Mills, their big defensive end tackle, he's going to be a first-round pick.
He's going to be close.
Yeah. So, and they don't have those guys. They're really, really banged up.
Yeah, it's tough to overcome.
Yeah.
Especially when you're facing a $30 million roster.
But I don't want Chip Kelly to win that thing. I don't want Ryan Day to win that thing.
I can't stand Ryan Day. I can't stand Chip Kelly. I really can't stand Will Howard. So
I don't know anything about Will Howard, but
I told you my story.
He's got a good arm, Jeff. He's got a good arm. I kind of
John knows my story.
You're a Penn State guy. You don't like any.
No, it has nothing to do with that.
Yeah,
I don't understand why they let the other kid leave.
Tom McCourt's better than him.
Tom McCourt, Sancho's prep kid.
Yeah, exactly. I hated that.
And he set records at Syracuse. He had a great season.
He's good. Is he going to draft Zander? You would probably know this.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not sure if I think he might be staying in college.
I mean, good for him. I mean, I was so happy for that kid. Like when he was just crushing Syracuse this year, I'm like, he got blamed for Ohio State losing last year, and that was
he did declare for the draft, by the way.
Okay, he might go higher than people think.
Well, there's no quarterbacks, so they're all going to get pushed up.
Yeah,
it's not a great quarterback class.
Drew Hauer and his terrible decision making might have made the first round.
He would have been a first-round pick. I'm convinced of that. He would have been a first-round pick.
All right, Jeff, we got to run, man. I want to get your final thoughts real quick on the divisional round game yesterday. It was an iconic snow game. Jeff, a couple more thoughts, final thoughts here from you, and then we'll let you run, brother.
I mean, I think, it's hard to have so many takeaways from this game because of the snow. So many things change. About today.
I feel like we said that a lot this year, like every game, like the Brazil shitty field. Now we got the snow shitty field.
Just what a weird year.
They don't win.
It is such a strange year. It's such a strange year.
And it's going by quick too. Like I can't believe
I don't agree with.
I'm with you 100% on that.
I am out of gas. I am Slay. I need that. I need Christian.
You need the tank?
Gas guy.
John needs a bye week before the Super Bowl.
No, I'll tell you what's been a long year coaching. It's been a long year coaching a basketball team. That's what's been a long year. This year's going by quick.
It is not going by quick. It is not.
You know what it is? Since now I do baseball, I'm kind of ingrained in the whole 162 grind.
Well, baseball's a grind.
Baseball's
it's a grind. Trust me, you're in like July, you're trying to hype up a Yankee series because your team's 30 games.
Well, it's easy to hype up a Yankee series. When you got to hype up a Brewers series, that's when you're in trouble.
Right.
Oh, in June. Yeah, you like that when I was like, the Brewers are second best team in the National League.
I'm Brewers here. Yeah, the Brewers.
NFL's got all these sports leagues beat. All right, Jeff, thanks for joining, brother. We appreciate it, man. We'll talk to you next week, hopefully after a big NFC title game win for the Birds. Talk to you then, brother.
Yep, sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Jeff.
There's Jeff Kerr joining us here on Birds 365. Great stuff from Jeff Kerr today.
Yeah, Jeff was bringing it, man. I like when Jeff.
He was. He was a little fired up today.
That backup quarterback rant. That was one for the ages.
Yeah, that was good. That was good from Jeff Kerr. So big shout out to him. And I thought he had good takeaways on the game, Johnny Mac. We just have 27 or so minutes left in the game. We got a great crowd of people in here. We appreciate each and every one of you. If you're watching now, hit that like button. If you're watching after the fact, I appreciate you being here and watching later. Hit that like button for us. We appreciate that. Johnny Mac, I'm going to stay here with all these people in here. I don't think there's a need to take a break. I'll hit the commercial break at the end of the show. But I want to continue talking about this game, Johnny Mac. I'm surprised that you have the take, honestly, about next week's game. It doesn't make me feel like we're not going to win, but I just think I think it's going to be one of those games, man. I think it's going to be a close game, and that dude Jaden Daniels gives you a chance. And if you add in Jalen Hurts' injury, Jaden Daniels isn't banged up like that. He's going to be using his legs to get first down on 4th and 2 like he was in the divisional round. I think it could be a good game, man.
Well, I said, I mean, one of the advantages I think they have is, Dan Quinn's going to show up trying to win the game. I think that was not the case this week. It was not the case the week before. I think the advantage of, and I've been talking about it all year, the event mainly dealing with Detroit. I felt that if anybody was going to beat Detroit, and there were a lot of things as well, the turnovers.
Right.
But if anybody was going to beat Detroit, they were going to have to match their aggression. And he did. And he outdid their aggression. And they won the game. Again, that's not the only reason, but it's a big reason.
Yep.
So he's going to show up, and that already gives them an advantage over the Rams, who played it very cautiously, which is dumb to me, and the Packers. But just from a talent perspective, I don't think they're there yet. I think they've done, I think the best job, if you, almost every position, some of them are ex-Eagles. Marcus Mariota as a backup quarterback, Austin Eckler at running back, Olamide at receiver, Zach Ertz at tight end.
How about Zach Ertz? Just keeps making
that dude's awesome. By the way,
keeps
awesome player, awesome person. Can't be happier for him. Andrew Wiley's been there, so they have it up. Defensively, obviously Bobby Wagner, Frankie Louvu, people don't like, but he's done a tremendous job. Now they brought in Lattimore in the secondary. They've got a veteran in almost every position group that has sort of helped the younger guys. So I think he's built the right way. But I just don't think they're as talented as a typical NFC championship team.
No, they're definitely not, man. But they have a lot of things going for them right now, John.
No, number one is the quarterback.
Yeah, I mean the kid is
and
special.
The quarterback erases a lot of mistakes. A lot of mistakes. But
I mean, you just talked about you just talked about Dan Quinn going for it on 4th down. Does he have the success he's having without having Jaden Daniels? And now, if you're, by the way, if you're Dan Quinn, you know what my approach to this game is? Jalen Hurts can't move. Whether he can move or not, I don't know. I'm going into the game assuming he can't move. I'm going to stack the box and make him beat me from the pocket. And it will actually be different this time if Jalen can't run the same way. If he's got a banged up MCL or whatever it might be, John, WIP had on a doctor this morning, and I'll read you the quote real quick if I can find it. It could be an MCL, and Jalen might not be moving much in that game. That could be a big factor.
No, I think it's more likely than not from everyone. I've talked to a couple doctors already. I've texted with them. I think it's more likely than not he's going to be very limited. At least that seems to be the consensus. You got another doctor from it seems to be the consensus. Now I've heard MCL, I've heard PCL.
So here's Dr. Mark Schwartz's quote. All right, MD, an orthopedic surgeon. He checked in WIP's morning show and said, this was just a quote. I didn't hear the full interview, so I'm just giving you what the quote is from WIP's Twitter. I think they probably give him a protective brace to protect the MCL. I think at this point in the season, it's all hands on deck. So not a crazy quote, but if they're protecting the MCL, he might not be.
Yeah, I would be stunned if he's not wearing a brace. At least a soft one at the bare minimum. Yeah, I think there's a very good chance the quarterback is limited for the game. But bottom line, and here's where my confidence comes in, I think they can win the game with Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, but we've talked all year. Here's the pushback on that. All right. And I don't disagree with you at all. But we've talked all year about how the Eagles' passing game is not where they need it to be. And the Eagles' running game is not the same if you don't have the +1 with Jalen Hurts. If you take away the +1, is the running game combined with the passing game that has largely been underwhelming this year, is that enough to win? Because I think with Kenny Pickett, you don't get the +1 in the run, but he is a little bit
Ball's going to come out.
Ball's going to come out. A little bit of a different style of play, a little bit of a different game plan, a little bit of a different quarterback. You know, I don't know. I think there's variables kind of balance.
Well, I will say if you know, I would have done the same thing with the Rams and they didn't do it. I mean, I'm coming into this game and saying, all right, I'm not letting Saquon Barkley beat me. I'm going to force Jalen Hurts to beat me. And remember, this week where they do have an advantage, certainly over the Rams, this week it's Bobby Wagner and Frankie Luvu. It's not Christian Roseboom. You know, so they're better equipped at the second level to at least somewhat limit Saquon Barkley, at least better. And then you don't add in the +1 as well. You know, so maybe 205 turns into 105. Still good, but not backbreaking. I could see that happening. But I just, you know, I find it very hard to believe the Philadelphia Eagles are going to lose to this roster. Bottom line.
You're more confident than me. That gives me agita. That gives me freaking agita.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a superstitious person. I don't believe in any of that nonsense. They just have better players up and down the roster. You know, again, Sam Cosmi's out for the year, tore his ACL. He's their best offensive lineman, and he's a good player. And he'd be the 6th best offensive lineman on the Philadelphia Eagles. You know, now that's not every position. Their defensive front, they got some big names. You know, Jonathan Allen's back, Deron Payne. You know, their edge rushers, Cleveland Ferrell, Dorrance Armstrong. Some of them have decent years. These are not difference-making players. At one time, Allen was, but he was hurt basically all year. He's not been the same. Luvu and Wagner having great years. You know, their secondary, I mean, AJ's tortured poor Emmanuel Forbes. He was with the Rams. You know, he's out. Benjamin St. Juste, he's killed over the years.
Lattimore had a good game, though, on Saturday.
Yeah, AJ's had the best of him, but AJ's banged up. The rookie had a big game, huge game.
Yeah, Samerstill, Mike Samerstill. Yep,
the kid from Michigan. Yeah, he had a
huge. He's an impressive player.
Oh, by the way, and their kicker is awful. Zane Gonzalez.
Yeah,
it's like their 3rd kicker. And even though Jake is not having a good year, he's still a big advantage over Zane Gonzalez.
I'll give a push on that.
No way. He's bad, Zane Gonzalez. Yeah, and Jake's not having a good. I'm not trying to defend Jake. Just that, you know, it's amazing you have kickers having these types of seasons in the NFC Championship game. To be honest, but yeah, I don't. Great season, but I think it ends for the Washington Commanders.
Good stuff there, Johnny Mac. A couple players I want to give credit to. We got a bunch of super chats that we'll rattle off, and I'll read a couple of them. One player I want to tip the cap to, all right, today. Darius Slay. I thought he played great yesterday. I know he got beat on the one play over the top, but to be that age, man, and to break up passes like he did yesterday, I thought he played one of his better games in the year, and I think he's been really good all year long, John, as a great cornerback for this team, great in coverage. You know, you get beat every once in a while, but everybody gets beat. Welcome to the NFL. And I thought he had a great game yesterday.
It's always amazed me that people don't realize how good Slay is in Philadelphia, especially after watching some of the cornerback play over the years. He's been a high level corner for a long time. And I posted a clip when I was talking to him after the game on my Twitter at JF McMullen. He sure sounds like he's thinking about retirement. This might be it.
I listened to that whole answer.
And he ain't gonna be easy to replace.
Slay's a pretty genuinely cool dude. Like, it seems like he talks to you guys. I'm not
Oh
sure.
yeah,
When
it's
he gives
great,
you off the
dude. That's
record,
why
but,
for years I would argue, he's got this big personality. Like, he's one of the most respected players in that locker room. He's a team captain. How could he be a team captain? Because he's always joking around. He'll always tell you the truth. He'll say, he said it again yesterday because he played in Detroit so long. He's still a Detroit fan. He roots for the Lions. When they're not playing the Eagles. And luckily that's not even in the equation anymore. He loves Stafford. He always uplifts other players, so he'll talk about opponents well. Like, he'll tell you how good opponents are because that's just what he is. He tries to uplift people. And people don't like that. They want to hear this guy stinks on the opposed, and that's not him. So a lot of people take him the wrong way. Just last week, he said, when Burst said he hates all Eagles fans, he said a lot of Eagles hate Eagles fans. I mean, he's very honest, but his teammates, and the best story I always tell, when Devin Allen got here, the people have forgotten him already. The track star was trying to make the return back to football, try to become a receiver. Didn't work out, tore his ACL, back in track now. Slate, when he first showed up in Philadelphia, Slate barely knew him, but he was running at the same time. He was going back and forth. He was still doing the track stuff, working out with the Eagles. He was in the Penn relays. You got a whole bunch of teammates together to go watch him in the Penn relays. Just got here. That's the kind of dude he is. That's why he gets voted a team captain every year. People, and that's what I wrote. People should enjoy the journey with Slay, because when he's gone, it's going to be, as good as Quinyon Mitchell has been this year, and he's been tremendous. I don't think people realize how good Slay is.
Yeah, he's a special player. There's no doubt about that.
Borderline Hall of Famer. And by the way, if they win a Super Bowl, I think that gets him over the top.
Could get him over the top for sure. Good stuff there. As far as Quinyon goes, we will see. We'll give you guys the updates as the week progresses on next week. He was in the locker room. He was in there after the game, did all the showering and all that stuff. So I think he'll be ready to go. I don't think it's too serious, but we will keep you posted on the Quinyon Mitchell. Let's get to a couple super chats here. No Limit. What's up, No Limit? Good to see you, my guy. How JAKIB Nation feeling? Not going to lie to y'all. Jalen made me turn off my TV after that safety. In the words of Pumper, Tamagotchi Hurts needs to be better. The safety was tough,
he need to be better on that play. I mean, that's specific. Look, you don't have to defend it. He'll be the first to admit, that's not good. And yet, by the way, I have no problem. As you said, I would have ran the ball. They were running the ball successfully.
Yeah, really.
I think Saquon got 5 yards on first down. I have to look it up, but I think it was 2nd and 5. Just run it, but they didn't. And again, you can't you can't put out your chest and say, "Oh, he's not turning the ball over. He's managing the game well." That's part of managing the game. Understand the situation. Ball's got to come out. Yes, he might have been banged up. That even more so should be in the back of his mind. All right, I can't move like I typically can. I got to get this ball out. It's on the quarterback. I'm sorry, people.
Good stuff there. So, No Limit. Appreciate you, brother. Suo Blaze, what a great feeling waking up this morning. What's up, fellas? Suo, good to see you, man. Great feeling from me as well. No Limit again. Jalen Carter just proved he's first team All-Pro, and Saquon might be running his way to Canton in one season. I kind of agree, man. If they cap this off, John, with a Super Bowl, I think Saquon Barkley's heading to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's already in the Hall of Fame, to be honest. I mean, part of it is as I say, reputation, and
Yeah.
he's got this reputation.
And in your first 6 years, though, in New York is one of the surefire ways to really dismantle those chances.
Yeah, but his peers are in awe of him. But
Right.
like I always say,
Which
that's
does
what
go a long way. You're
yeah.
right about that. Yep.
And I was in that camp. I'm like, typically, and I say it all the time. I went through with Adrian Peterson in Minnesota. Typically, when you're that good, you elevate those around you. I didn't see enough elevation with the Giants, but I was wrong. It's the Giants' fault.
Yeah. They're brutal. I mean, seriously.
It's the Giants' fault. Now, look, this offensive line is also historic. So they factor into it, but
they definitely do.
It's been a nice marriage, to say the least.
John, the home run ability though is just insane. Dude, it feels like every game right now we're good for a 60 plus.
Well, yeah, I mean, and yesterday was Becton on the first one.
I know, great block.
Really, that reach block by Cam Jurgens, then the seal block on the second one.
Seal block on the second one. Mailata pushed him to the outside, the edge, and then Dickerson sealed it off. Good stuff, man. That was great offensive line play. Riding the bench checks in. Washington playing with house money, not a concern for PHI. I'm with you riding the bench. I think I'm not overly concerned. I think we're the better team, but they got nothing to lose, man. There's no doubt.
I'm not into the house money mentality. When you get to the championship game, you want to win the championship game.
I know that, but I know that
out here, we're gonna. I mean,
Washington has exceeded expectations this year. We have not yet.
Yeah, well, I agree from that perspective. But the point that the players look at it that way is not. In other words, I think like there's a sentiment that they'll be relaxed because.
Yeah, right. I hear what you're saying. It's more of a media talking thing.
Yeah, I think it's more of a media fan base thing than player thing.
Got it. That makes sense. 30D checks in. Taylor Swift too, Jeff Kerr. I guess he's talking about not wanting the Chiefs to go. I don't know. I'm one of the people. I couldn't care less about Taylor Swift. Like, it doesn't bother me. I don't care. I'm not a fan of hers. But like, guys, football's a business. Like, she's got a humongous fan base. They're going to promote her when she's at the game. I mean, that's just how it's going to work. I don't care one way or the other. Brian Garner missed most of the show. Jalen Carter was effing dominant. Any word on Q? You're right, Brian.
Yeah, talked about it from the start. The player of the game. With all due respect to Saquon, I think Jalen Carter was the player of the game. Quinyon, I think, is going to be fine. Saw him after the game, was taking a shower. If there was any concern, he wouldn't have been in there when the media was in there. So a little bit strange that they held him out if it's nothing serious, that they got the x-rays. So it might be, and remember, you got to be back in 7 days to play the NFC Championship game. So no guarantee he's going to play this week, but nothing serious or long term. And there's only 2 games left. So, but the good news is Isaiah Rodgers has been a very good backup cornerback. There's not a lot of good backup cornerbacks. Isaiah Rodgers seems to always make a play when he's in the game.
Well, the other guy that was a good backup cornerback was the guy in Detroit who got hurt early in that game. He was playing really well, actually.
Yeah, he was.
Robertson, yeah, he was playing real well. Josh B checks in. Josh B, what's up, man? Good to see you, brother. Our special teams got to play A+ on Sunday. Got us huge the last commie game. Texans versus Chiefs. The Texans special teams were awful. It's a real reason they lost. You're right. Special teams is big in the playoffs, man. It really is.
Yeah, it is. And it'd be nice from just the kicking standpoint to get a little more consistency. Maybe it was just the weather with Jake Elliott, but again, Washington doesn't have a great kicker either. Do have a great punter. Yeah, their coverage teams. I think the Eagles have been solid. Sidney Brown and Kaylee Ringo specifically, because he's been doing it all year. They've been really good as punt gunners. Talked about Oren Burks against Green Bay setting the tone early. So the Eagles have done some good things on special teams themselves during the year. But I hear you in the Washington game wasn't their best. I don't think it's a huge advantage for Washington, though, overall.
Good stuff there. Josh B, thanks for the super. Paul Barbarian, what's up, Paul? Appreciate you, man. With Jalen potentially limited, the pressure is now on Kellen more than ever to scheme quick three-step drop, get the ball out in rhythm passes.
Ain't happening,
to
dude.
11, 6, and 88.
Ain't happening.
Yeah, but isn't he right, John? Like, that's what I was saying earlier. Doesn't this change?
It doesn't matter if you're right. This is not the quarterback who's taking a three-step drop and getting the
I
ball.
know, but John, he's going to be a different quarterback in this game if he doesn't have the legs.
It's not what you can't make somebody into what they're not. I mean, where evidence how many games has Jalen Hurts played now in his career?
A lot. 60.
I mean, you're going to show up in a week and turn him into a three-step drop quarterback? I don't understand this mentality.
No, but does it require a different game plan this week if your quarterback is limited and cannot run the ball?
Sure, but it requires a different mindset from the quarterback. You know, Kellen Moore can't change his offense in a week for the NFC Championship game. Otherwise, just sit him down and play Kenny Pickett. I mean, you're going to play, and by the way, they're not going to do that. I'm not advocating they should do that. They're going to do what they've done in this entire run, pretty much, with the exception of the Pittsburgh game, maybe, from week 5 on. And that's rely on the running game and the offensive line, throw it 20 times. Occasionally, you'll see a schemed open Dallas Goedert. They seem to do it best with him, and they did it a number of times. And it's going to look ugly at times offensively. Let's be honest. In the passing game, like it did yesterday, like it does every game.
I know, but Hurts had a 44-yard touchdown on the ground yesterday. Not going to get that in a Commander's game if
no, you're not, and they're going to be more limited from that perspective. But you just have to ramp it up from the traditional running perspective, and they have the pieces to do that. With Saquon in the offensive line, so. But yeah, I mean, it'd be nice. But all I'm saying is, you're not going to see this Tom Brady get the football out of your hand.
Yeah, I'm not expecting to see that, but I do think it's going to have to change a little bit, man. It's going to have to evolve a little bit this week.
I'll believe it when I see it.
All right, I don't disagree with that, but I do think they're going to have to do something different. Miguel Lar, look at this, member for 31 months. John, this is our longest standing YouTube member. Our longest standing, 31 months. Miguel Lar has been a member. Miguel, thank you, brother. A lot of new people becoming members this year for the giveaways. Miguel's been here through it all. Miguel, I'm almost ready to pull out a jersey and give it to you, brother. 31 months is legendary. Wild stat of the game, fellas. Jalen had minus 68 yards on 7 sacks. Throw the football away. Agreed, man.
Yeah, I mean, to me, as a football person, the most frustrating thing, no matter what game I'm watching, is when the quarterback holds on to the football. Now, it's easier said than done. A lot of times, like I brought it up with Matt, a lot of times it's the scheme's fault, the offense's fault. A lot of times you can't throw it away because you're still in the pocket. But always you can do better. And Jalen Hurts can certainly do better when it comes to turning 7 sacks for 68 yards into 3 or 4 sacks for 20 yards. By manipulating the pocket, understanding where his, bail safe is. So, if you go back to Stafford in the week prior, he had that sort of shovel pass to, I think it was Higbee, where they originally called it a touchdown, a fumble, and a defensive touchdown from Minnesota on the field. He was just getting sacked. He knew where his last resort was, and he just flipped the football ahead at his feet. Incomplete pass, overruled. Jalen's got to get better at that kind of stuff. Throw it at somebody's feet. Saquon's always your last resort, or if Kenny's in the field, throw it at his feet. He could do better with that kind of stuff.
No doubt about it. And one thing I'll say, like Cass Ghost or whatever, I don't know how to say that name, but he says this running attack doesn't work well without Hurts. Hasn't that kind of been disputed? Didn't Saquon have like 165 on the game that Hurts was out? I mean, it would make sense that if you don't have
it's not as good, but
it's not as dynamic.
Pretty good compared to everybody else. Maybe with the exception of Baltimore, but it's still pretty good.
Yeah,
still pretty good.
Dirty D followed up. Dirty D on the Taylor comment. Jeff Hurts said the things that brought people to watch the NFL games. Yeah, well, she's one of them. I mean, might not be for you guys, but
I'm sure she brings in a ton of
John,
women viewers, but I mean, the NFL was not struggling for.
No, they weren't. But anytime you have an opportunity to get the biggest,
you take advantage of it. I have no problem with it. I have no problem. I'm just saying. I don't know if that's what the comment. I'm saying the NFL did not need.
No, they didn't. But I think
they're smart enough to play it up because.
And listen, sometimes people get to the top, man, and they go to sleep at the wheel, and they don't no longer. The NFL does not do that. The NFL continues to evolve and progress, and I think that's one of the reasons that they continue to dominate television every freaking year. Good stuff, everybody. We appreciate it. John, man, what's your final thoughts on this Birds 365, a Monday edition? We're hosting an NFC title game, John. I can't fucking believe it, man. I mean, if you told me at the start of the year, I said this last night, that we'd be hosting the Commanders for an NFC title game, I would have said, you're fucking nuts.
Well, yeah, I definitely would have said, well, watching Detroit all year, I would have said, you're not going to host the NFC championship game. But against the Commanders, even more so than hosting. All you need is one upset. The Lions got the Eagles got it with Washington beating the Lions, but yeah, anybody who picked Washington to be in this spot is. And I love Jaden Daniels, but I mean, yeah, they are ahead of schedule to say the least.
No doubt about it. All right, Johnny Mac, good stuff, man. Birds win the divisional round yesterday. A crazy snow game, wild finish, wild game all around. Saquon goes off again, and here we are now preparing for one more week here, John, for the NFC title game, and then another couple of weeks for the Super Bowl. John, you got to hang in there, brother. You got to move back, got to fill up the gas tank, move back the odometer a little bit, and gear up.
I know. I need some Christian Parker gas.
Yeah, you do.
Gas cans. PFF just put up the grades. Landon Dickerson wins on offense. Kenny Gainwell, limited snaps, though. Saquon, Jordan Mailata, Lane Johnson, Cam Jerkins. As always, it's always the offensive line. Jalen Hurts, mediocre grade, not terrible. Bad grades were A.J. Brown, Mekhi Becton, the only offensive lineman who had a bad grade. Had a great block, maybe wasn't consistent. I got to watch the game. Jalen Carter, they got it right. Blue chip player. Zach Bond played well. Cooper DeJean played well. Oren Burks played well. Should have gave a shout out to Oren Burks.
Yeah, I thought he did good.
Yeah. Trot never got a chance because Oren just played well. So they didn't have to go the rotation. Yeah. But anyway, those are your big makes sense with Jalen Carter, to say the least, who got credited with 2 sacks, 1 quarterback hit, 4 hurries. Yeah, Matthew Stafford's going to be seeing him for a while.
No doubt about it. Johnny Mac, great show, man. I'll let you run. We appreciate you. We'll talk to you tomorrow, and we'll start gearing up for this NFC title game in Philly coming up 6 days from now, brother.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody.
All right, thanks, Johnny Mac. There's John McMullen joining in. I want to give you guys the update on what I'm doing for the giveaways this week. All right, so I was able to go and take the great super chat fun that we did on Thursday. Big thanks to everybody. If you're in the chat, all right, and you see Brian Fleming, thank Brian Fleming. If you're in the chat and you see Jason 18, thanks Jason 18. Those guys combined for $250 last week to help buy more giveaways for the channel. A couple other people as well. I don't want to leave anybody out, but those are the two big giveaway guys, man. So big thanks to those two guys. Big thanks to all of you guys for your support of the channel. I told you guys last night, all right, I know the season's not done yet, but I did want to say last night how much of an honor and a privilege it's been to talk about this football season with you all. I appreciate each and every one of you, even the people who hate or disagree. It's all good. I love having football conversation with everybody, and it's truly been an honor to cover this team and cover this season with all of you guys. So big thanks to you. All right, now I'm going to tell you guys what I'm going to do, and you might not be happy with me today, but it's all for the better cause. All right, let me get what I got. By the way, the presidential inauguration is on today. All right, I got to try and watch some of that. I don't know if you guys are watching any of that. I don't want to get political in the chat, all right? Don't get political on me. But I'll definitely be watching some of that later on. All right, here's what I got. And for the people, I'm going to call some people out by name, okay? All right, because I had a list of about 30 winners. I'm working through it, all right? I'm getting people out. Dirty Air got his prize. Anthony Rossi got his prize. Jay Ronamu got his prize. Twiz got his prize. El Yepa should be getting his prize shortly. El Yepa, if you're listening, I sent it to your P.O. box, okay? Josh B got his prize. Devin Shanahan and Four Reels Fishing. I sent out your prizes on Thursday or Friday. Was it Thursday or Friday? I think it was Thursday. All right, and here's what I got. Chuck Hutton. I'm working on getting you a Saquon. I got more Saquons, but remember, I got a bunch of giveaways. So the guy had limited Saquons. I have a couple. I'm trying to get you Chuck Hutton one. Texas T, I got to send out your hats still. I did not send them out yet. Devin Parker, if you're in the chat, you wanted a 2XL, I believe. I have not yet got your 2XL. All right, but I do have an XL, so I'm working on that, and I'm going to try and get back on Tuesday. So my guy said he's going to re-up on everything, and he's going to call me on Tuesday, so tomorrow. So I'll head over there tomorrow and get more stuff. James Jones, Commander's jersey has been ordered. Good luck. Fanatics is a pain in the absolute ass, okay? So I did order you a Commander's jersey, though, which sucks, by the way. We're an Eagles channel, and I'm ordering Commander's jersey, but nonetheless, you're a great supporter, and I love you and appreciate you, James Jones. So thank you, brother. All right, that's coming. Brian Waddington, I'm sending out your A.J. Brown jersey today or tomorrow. Philly Don, I'm trying to upgrade your large. I'll do that on Tuesday. And Tony and Akbar, I ordered both of your JAKIB merch. All right, that's all of our winners so far, so at least in the last week and change. That's not all the December winners. We had a shit ton in December too. All right, so this is what I got, everybody. Here we go. Dirty Air. Dirty Air says, I got it to say, Zander. Ton of comments on the Cooper jersey. Hope more people have a chance to win jerseys like that. Well, Dirty Air, here it is. I got another one. All right. I got another one. All right. I got another one. So I got one of those. And you know what else I got, Dirty Air? I got it in Saquon. All right. So we got the black and listen. I more like Kelly Green jerseys because it's what the team wears. But people were raving about this black and green jersey, so I got a few more of them. The other ones I got were Saquon's, and I got this. All right, you guys are going to like this one. I showed it last night on the postgame show. Zach freaking Bond. All right, I got it. I'm like, this guy's a first-team All-Pro. When the hell is the last time we've had a first-team All-Pro linebacker? All right. So I got that to give away. I hope they get a contract done because, man, it would suck to it would suck to lose him and you give away a jersey. You know what I mean? But all right. So what I'm going to do is our Saquon jersey for the 125 will be separate from. Look at Philly Don trying to play me for the Cooper jersey. Philly Don, I'm sure you will. So will everybody, brother. All right. Tuesday will be the Saquon giveaway. It's always been Tuesday all week long. You don't have to be present to win that. All right. So I'm going to do that drawing as I've always done. That's different from me having Zander time giveaways. All right. Yes, Trag. I got a Zach Bond. I got a Zach Bond stitched Kelly Green jersey. All right. So the Saquon jersey will be tomorrow. All right. And then all of the giveaways, like I said, I'm going back there tomorrow after the show. So I'm getting enough stuff, hopefully, to have giveaways all through the Super Bowl. I'd like to give away another 10 jerseys. All right. I'm working on Carter, Abe. I'm working on Carter. All right. I'm working on Jalen Carter. What a beast he's been. They were out of Carters because I think people have started to buy more and more of them. But I'm trying to work on Carter. So no giveaways today. So for anybody hanging out right now, waiting for me to give away, I duped you. All right. I duped you for an extra 10 minutes. You're going to have to forgive me for that. All right. But I did want to give you guys an update on all the other winners. I wanted to thank everybody and tell them how much I loved and enjoyed the season so far. And I think we got another few weeks, man. I think we're going to the Super Bowl. This team's going to have another run to the Super Bowl. So you got boo. Get him out of here. I know. You can boo me. It's all right. I'll take it. I will take the boos. Okay? I will take the boos. But I'll be back. Don't worry. I'll be giving away more jerseys, all right? Bobby Murphy becomes a member. Thank you, Bobby. And David Esch becomes a member. Thank you, David. Appreciate that for both of you guys. So you guys will be officially entered in to the Saquon jersey, and I will do that drawing tomorrow. Again, you will not have to be present to win that jersey, all right? So there's going to be one drawing tomorrow that you won't have to be present for. And then I'm going to give away the Bond tomorrow. And I'm going to do a Legends giveaway tomorrow of one of the black and Kelly Green jerseys. All right. Howard, I can get 4X. Okay. He did have some 4Xs. Not many. Not many. Philly Don, the white Eagles hat is gone. All right. Flexen is the proud owner of the white Eagles hat. That's gone. Done and dusted. And the white beanie, I sent to my guy, Devin Shanahan. Devin should be getting that this week. All right. And SB Ricky says he needs some JAKIB merch. I will do SB Ricky. I'm going to do a couple more giveaways of JAKIB merch too. That was fun. That was fun. So I'll do that. You can pick a couple things from the website and I'll order you that. All right. So I did order out Akbar. I ordered out your merch and I ordered out Tony's merch as well. All right. That comes from another warehouse. So I don't ship that stuff. I just ordered it and it should come right to it. So good stuff. All right, everybody. That's going to do it for the show today. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for all the support. As always, you guys really are the best in the world. I love talking with you guys, man. Eagles Nation is great, and I appreciate all the support that you guys get, man, or you guys give. So big thanks to all of you guys. Sorry for no giveaways today. All right, I got a very busy day with all the aftermath of the divisional round win. All right, and I appreciate each and every one of you. And we'll see you next time here on Birds 365. Love you guys. See you next time.
You've been listening to Birds 365, the destination for the passionate Eagles football fan who bleeds green. If it's Eagles football, we're talking about it. Debate inside the locker room and guests that are some of the greatest football minds from around the region. We hope you enjoyed the show. We know we had a blast. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hook up with us on social media at JAKIB Sports. See you next time on Birds 365.